Today in the crypto space, we see the market getting a nice green bounce to the upside. Bitcoin up approximately 4% and Ethereum also up approximately 4%. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, we have some good gainers like Solana, Cardano, AVAX, and many more making a nice recovery to the upside. However, guys, there are some dips. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin that looks like it's ready to bounce to the upside really hard. And that project is called HBAR. So you know what? Let's talk about the news. Let's analyze the charts and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go bearish or bullish, up or down, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the chat, or you can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description below. Guys, feel free to join that Discord. The Discord is a great community. Lots of good alpha, trade setup fundamentals, and learning material. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with the general market. First, we'll take a look at Bitcoin to see what Bitcoin is all up to, and then we'll focus on HBAR. HBAR hashgraph, Hedera hashgraph, looking pretty good. Ultimately, I think the move is about to come. However, we already been running just a little bit. That's the issue here, guys. Entries come and go, and then as they keep on going up, you know, it's very hard to get those good entries again. So we got to be really aware of where it is appropriate to take risk to reward ratio opportunities have to be taken. All right, guys, so let's begin. Let's just look at the general market so we can get an overall consensus, an overall feel of the sentiment. Obviously, guys, we got some really good bullish news. You know, the inflation rate is under control. It's looking good. You know, obviously there's a little bit of work still to be done, but everything is looking good. So that's really good to see that the market is definitely swelling up based off of that. Obviously, you know, Jerome came out really bullish there. So that's good, really good, positive news for the markets. And we see Bitcoin getting a nice bounce. We see Ethereum looking good. We see a lot of the altcoins looking really strong. Solana up 6%, and the list goes on. You can see AVAX 10%, 12% for Cardano, and many more good runs to the upside. Of course, guys, the general market right now is still somewhat within a structure. You can see that although some of them are gaining, right, doing pretty good, like even Chainlink, look at it, bottom of the range, Litecoin, bottom of the range, and many more are still at the bottom of the range type of thing, and nothing really has run significantly out of its range, right? Internet computer doing pretty good, running to the upside, up approximately 13% today. Caspa still within range. It has been retracing, but it's up 11% today. That's good. HBAR, Hedera hashgraph. This is what I want to talk about today. This is the project I'm looking at. The reason being is the structure is looking good, and we finally hit some targets. And now it's like, okay, what do we do next? And I believe that a lot of us that are in HBAR want to know what the plan is going forward. So that's why I am here ready to go talking about a plan for HBAR. Let's continue going here. We have IMX, you know, maybe going sideways. It's up 50%, guys. Don't knock it. It's up 50%. A bit of a retracement would be absolutely healthy. So not a big deal if it does come down. Be prepared to buy the dips if you haven't already. New York Protocol, you know, still within range. Nothing crazy. VeChain grinding to the upside. Slow and steady. Up 20% already. So that's good. Nice and healthy. Injective, of course. 61%, guys. What a beast. Doing pretty good there. And we have Celestia, again, looking okay. Still within range now. Making a bottom and a top. And maybe coming right back up to the previous high. Now, what is going to happen? Are we going to get breakout, or are we going to just go range bound? Personally speaking, I like range bound price action for a bit. Give it a break, let it go sideways, and then let it pop. Basically, let it run. Right, so you got to kind of take it easy and let it do its thing, and that way you can find a good entry as well based on a bull flag. So we try to find good entries based on risk to reward. When things run up like Celestia has, you really want to find a nice base so that you can put a stop loss to mitigate risk. Quant looking okay, up a bit above that $100 mark. Of course, that's what we want to see for Quant. Render is still looking good, up to $4. Pretty nice to see Render doing its thing. The graph, one of the lower performers in my opinion. I think the graph GRT needs to wake up very, very soon. And statistically speaking, it should do a very, I'm going to put the graph on tonight's list for tonight's live stream. Of course, guys, feel free to join, make those requests, and I'll put them in top priority. But GRT looks potentially like it may be, get its move, right? That's the reality. They all kind of take turns, and GRT has yet to move. And when it does move, GRT in the past has shown me that it could really, really run. So that's something I want to keep an eye on. We have KuCoin breaking out again. I'm hopeful when I see KuCoin do well. As an exchange, seeing its token do well, it means that there's a lot of market participation on that exchange. That's a bullish sign. People getting in on KuCoin means that people are getting in on crypto in general. So Phantom looking good, maybe looking for a breakout to the upside. Guys, it does look like a nice consolidation here that we're in, a descending channel of some sort, looking for a nice bounce to the upside, breaking previous highs. We could see Phantom finally wake up with some good conviction. Ordinal's kind of going sideways in the last little while, so that's okay. Let it do its thing. Beam still grinding, up 21% today, guys. What a beast. Nice move to the upside. So you can see that generally today there are some good movers. IOTA doing pretty good. Helium, Bonk, and many others still looking decent today, sideways or decently green. So that's the overall consensus, guys. There are some projects that have yet to move. Okay, so I've been talking about GRT. That's one that hasn't really moved, and there's a few others. Of course, there's a few others, but we have to be able to find good entries at bottoms, right? You're not going to buy tops. You're going to be finding entries at bottom ranges. Look for bullish divergence, look for horizontal supports, and if it already has run really in the green, you kind of want to find an opportunity that's not going to put you at risk. Like Zilliqa is another one that's looking pretty good, obviously at the bottom of the range. All right, guys, we'll talk more about this tonight on the live stream. Let's get right into it. I know you're here to talk about charts. Let's take a look at what's happening. This is the HBAR chart. Obviously, we're going to talk about that in a second, but I definitely want to take a look at Bitcoin. As a leading indicator, it should tell us, what to expect in the market. If Bitcoin does come down, I'm expecting it to, roll over and bring down the rest of the market with it based on the fear. But as I told you guys earlier, 2 days ago, I made a video on Bitcoin. Bitcoin shouldn't come down that quickly. And look what we're getting. We're getting a nice bounce. Let's talk about this in a bit more detail. You can see after the dip, that dip did come down. It was, a dip that was caused by a big sell order. And then obviously, we get a bit of bullish sentiment at good horizontal support like I suspected. And all of a sudden we get a reaction. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to get into a price discovery or we're going to go up really hard here. I'm just expecting a nice distribution, right? I'm expecting some sort of consolidation here that could resemble a distribution phase, or even more so like maybe a cup and handle, obviously inverse cup and handle, head and shoulders, something that's showing us that potentially this could be a pivot point. Right now, there is no structure. Guys, we got to be real about what's happening here with Bitcoin. Any little impulsive move to the downside, people are going to be very fearful. Why? It's because there's a lot at stake at this current moment. You can imagine how many individuals are currently over leveraged. They have big positions, whether they're using leverage or not. Maybe their portfolios are overexposed, right, at this current moment, because Bitcoin at the end of the day made some people really wealthy. If you think about it, from where we are right now all the way to where we came from, we're up 184% from the bottom, guys. So people that did accumulate at these bottoms or any dips along the way are definitely in the green. Now, the question is, are those individuals going to want to take a bit of profit and enjoy those percentages? Of course. Now, are they going to do it all at once? I highly doubt it, because that means that as they sell, the price will come down and then they're going to have to sell at lower levels, right? So they're not going to want that. They're going to want a distribution phase where the price kind of goes sideways and they're able to sell a bit by bit at the tops. So bit by bit at the tops means that we could go sideways for a little while here for Bitcoin. And obviously that's going to look good for altcoins. And that's why I'm focusing on altcoins in the next little while. I am looking for good risk to reward ratio opportunities on altcoins. I'm not looking for altcoins that have already run 200-300%. I'm looking for altcoins that have yet to wake up, whether they're large cap or low cap. I prefer the low caps, obviously, but large cap is a good way to diversify your risk Obviously, we're talking about HBAR today. Our HBAR is slightly larger cap altcoin. You know, it's not a micro cap, and it's not, you know, a big guy like Ethereum or, you know, BNB or anything like that. But it still has enough market cap to suggest that the volatility is not going to be as bad if the price comes down. So we could diversify and still enjoy some good gains out of projects like that, right? So that's what we're going to be focusing on right here. I'm expecting this to take a while. Nice bounce off of this level on the 4 hour. This is where I came up and gave you that Bitcoin update. Guys, make sure you join the Discord. Make sure you subscribe, obviously, so you can get these updates. We've been killing it here on the channel, and of course, trying to stay one step ahead of the market is definitely my objective here. And this is an example of how we stay one step ahead. We saw this dip, we came oversold on the 4 hour, we saw a class A bullish divergence, we saw the MACD do the nice cross, EMA cross to the upside, beautiful, beautiful, everything lined up perfectly to expect a nice bounce, and we got it. So now what? Are we gonna, you know, expect a all-time high or a higher high here? It could be possible. Ultimately, it could be possible to get a sweep of the highs and then all of a sudden, you know, get some exit liquidity happening and then make it come down and back up, back down, and back up and down, where people start offloading their bags. And of course, those people are the whales that are trying to, you know, cause the price to fall and eventually accumulate at lower levels. You get the drill, right? But ultimately, right now, Bitcoin is, in my opinion, very high and frothy. So we got to expect that the market could come down after this consolidation. This is why I am focusing on alts. All right, guys, let's take a look at take a look at HBAR, Hedera hashgraph. You know, I like HBAR. I always did kind of like HBAR. It was one of the first ones that caught my attention when you start talking about DAG, you start talking about different technologies other than blockchain. Guys, I suggest that you do your fundamental research about all the projects that we discuss here on the channel, because ultimately, you know, this is all very speculative. Crypto in general is very, very speculative. However, the more research you do, the less speculation there is. The reason being is that you'll get fundamentally bullish. You'll appreciate the technology, you'll appreciate the team, you'll appreciate the value propositions, and it's very likely that you're not going to feel that risk. And even more so, when the price comes down, you're going to feel convicted. You're going to feel like, you know what, maybe I want to buy at lower levels and accumulate more of a bag because I'm bullish. And ultimately, when we see strong communities, guys, Hedera hashgraph has a very strong community. The fundamentals are good, are really, really good. In fact, I think they just had an update or a vote in of a new member to their panel. And that could be a good thing. I wonder who's going to be joining their panel. I think Microsoft and Dell is still on there, and some good heavyweights in the tech space. So that's a good thing, right? So ultimately, we couple in fundamentals and we start looking at price action. And when you see price action like this, it starts to get you bullish. Now, I'm just going to say it straight. I don't like diamond patterns. And it's a very clear diamond pattern. But ultimately, it's beyond the diamond pattern. Because usually a diamond pattern represents whipsaw price action. Price action that comes down, sweeps the lows, goes back up and sweeps the highs and deleverages everybody. Highs and low, bulls and bears get wrecked. And ultimately, after something like that, you know, it's very hard to judge where it's going to go. However, I do see a bit of a confluent thing here happening where we identified this bullish divergence way, way, way back. And we saw that, you know, lower lows on the price action, higher highs on the RSI, and the RSI was giving us this signal, and we could probably see it better on the 4-day. Let's see if we can kind of see this on the 4-day. You can see the price actions moving up, coming down, while the momentum was slowly moving up. Let me kind of make this better, more visually. Yeah, you can see that pretty much lower lows in the price action, and on the 1 hour you can see it a lot better, obviously on the 4-day. But you can also see that overall this pivot point did happen, where we start to see coming down, and all of a sudden we start going up, trekking with those higher lows, and then we get a higher high. That is really what we're waiting for. We kind of did get a higher high if you include this higher high. Now we're waiting for another high. Basically, what we're trying to find is a change of structure, right? A change of structure suggesting that this is a pivot point. Now back to the daily, you're going to see that ultimately the daily is a lot more clear with the divergences and all of that, because you can see a lot more of the noise, a lot more of the price action, lower lows. You can see on the price action, higher lows on the RSI, and then you get to follow through a nice run up based on the divergence, based on horizontal support. This was the level of support. This was the zone where you should be taking risk. All into this zone, all these green arrows, all of this opportunity that we had here. We got a confirmation low, a higher low. We went up, got rejected, came back down, pick up more bullish bids. We W'd out here. So we're getting a lot of price action to suggest that this is a good level for accumulation. Now, as we continue here, we got to admit, you know, the entries right now are starting to get lost. And this is where people start looking into projects. Unfortunately, when the price starts moving, that's where everybody wants to find an entry, but it's almost too late, right? We can see that the MACD EMAs are facing up, green histogram bars to the upside. And this is talking about the daily, of course. It's in a really bullish stance in the bullish control zone. You know, what could we say here? Look at the momentum as it's slowly moving up. You can see the overall trajectory of this entire move to the upside. Look at this. Very, 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 you know, decisive. It's moving up very clearly, right? So this is the thing here now, guys. Are you going to get into this impulsive move? Now, in the short term, it does look like an impulsive move. It is very risky. I had these red arrows in here for a while now, suggesting that, look, if we get to the zone, this is where you may want to de-risk. This is where you may want to say, look, I'm up significantly. Let's kind of make a measurement to see what kind of gains we could be in right now if you happen to get in on the signal. We're gonna take our measurement tool and just say, look, an average position right into here, into the volume gap. Let's be modest. And then right where we are right now, you're up 40%, guys. That's not bad. You can't negate the fact that we're up 40% and that we didn't even still break major structure, in the sense that we didn't change the structure at all. We are still waiting for a big impulsive move to the upside where we can make a higher than this high. Now, that would be awesome, of course, after this nice, you know, reversal pattern perfectly here at horizontal support. Now, let's move on from this. If we kind of move on and we can see the actual area where what I'm really looking forward to, and I'm going to be very modest here, of course, because I don't want to be too precise with any of this, because it's not about precision, it's about general areas. And you can see that ultimately, once we break this previous high, we start getting interesting, given the fact that the volume profile right here, you can see there's not much volume leading into this area. It starts to flatten out significantly, which means it's a weak spot. The previous price action has very low volume in the zone, which means that ultimately the bulls are not going to have a hard time getting that price to higher levels. So really what you got to look at this zone as is an accumulation phase, an accumulation zone where you have the point of control, you have a lot of market participation. Look at all the volume into this area. Okay, let me kind of push this up a little bit. Look at all this volume, and then the volume profile confirms that this horizontal zone right here, if you look at it, if you cross-reference the horizontal and the vertical, this whole zone has a lot of accumulation, has a lot of volume and market participation. So for me, this is the area what you want to get into with the majority. And we start running, right? We start breaking. We broke structure already, made a slightly higher high here. And now we're ultimately big picture trying to change the structure where we create this pivot point where we're making higher highs and higher lows. Good on us that we already have a higher low. Now let's make that higher high. And I truly believe that once we start testing the previous high, guys, we could potentially break and hit that 19-cent zone, maybe even higher, 20 cents, right? So this is what I really want to watch out for. And I think a lot of people, what we're doing, accumulating here, is in preparation for this bigger move to the upside. And of course, what I'm going to do is put a red arrow here and say, look, if we happen to get to the zone, if we're lucky enough to get here with our entries, guys, this is the time to take a bit of profit as well, because you're up 40%. That's good. Trail up the stop loss, get defensive, come up with your defensive strategy, whether it be take 10% off the top, 20%, whatever the case is, whatever you feel that you want to de-risk, how you want to de-risk. It's all about your risk tolerance. But at least, guys, at least trail up a stop loss and put yourself into some profit, because ultimately you took some risk down here at the bottom, and the ideal scenario is for you to walk away profitable. And the only way to do that is to secure some of those gains by taking profit or trailing up a triggered stop loss where it could take you out as soon as the price comes down, if it comes down. If at this current moment, it's almost like a bit of a breakout trade, to be honest. It's not too bad because you're still big picture at the bottom of the range, but you want to break out of this horizontal. Once we break out of the horizontal, you might want to wait for a back test. Obviously, guys, it doesn't have to happen. We could have enough bullish sentiment in this move right now that we could blast right through without a back test. This is the issue with breakout trading. Now, I would have liked to get in right here. You're up 40%. Your entry has already kind of passed just a little bit. You could scale in in just enough that you're going to ensure that you have a bit of capital reserved for a corrective move, a short-term corrective move, maybe coming down a little bit to DCA a little bit more. But ultimately, I think it's safe to say to have a big picture objective here for HBAR is not bad of an idea, because even if we get some short-term volatility to the downside, ultimately, this does look like it did put in a nice solid bottom. You can't negate it. Look at all this volume. This is good levels of support. If we get a nice impulsive move and back test the zone, it's a high probability, it's just statistics, it's a high probability that this area is going to act as future support going forward. So if it does come down and back test, you can expect that this is going to act as support for a nice spring to the upside. And finally, maybe at this level, we'll actually break out and get through this empty volume gap to hit about that 20-cent zone. For me, that would be absolutely bullish. That would be an area where I would be interested in taking profits. And ultimately, look at the potential gains here from the entries. You're looking at about 250%, and that's being modest. 250% gains on a nice move like that. I'll take that any day. All right, guys, I think we're good. Join me live tonight at 7:30. We can discuss any projects that you're interested in. Of course, I'll take requests. And join the Discord, guys. The Discord is a great community. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, learning material. Follow me on those socials. The links are in the description below. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.